Good morning, delegates to the Hong Kong Forum. And thank you very much, George, the unreal chairman. First of all, very warm welcome to Hong Kong. As George said, we are very glad to see the forum grows by size every year, and also by the quality of delegates, and also the quality of the organization. Taking a look at the membership and the speakers, I can say that this is like a United Nations of business. People from 24 countries all in the same room, and I think a lot can happen in terms of business exchange, in terms of networking, and I'm very confident that becoming a member and becoming a delegate to this forum, apart from supporting Hong Kong, it will also help your own business. I hope this is very much the case. And also, I don't know whether this is already happening. The program we arranged for you is probably the best you can get in terms of understanding Hong Kong and understanding Hong Kong's relationship, particularly with mainland China. So in future, bring a friend, bring a business partner who's interested in this part of the world to benefit from the same program, to benefit from the same information exchange that this forum should provide. Now, before I get to answer your questions, I'd just like to make a few remarks, and maybe while you're thinking about questions. I'm glad to hear that almost 1/3 of you are coming to this forum for the first time. Now, you'll find the experience in Hong Kong very interesting. If you walk around the streets of Hong Kong, you'll find a lot of visitors from the mainland, what we call the rich Chinese from across the border. And they are buying up everything in Hong Kong. I just understand this morning that we are running out of milk powder because the mainland buyers have exhausted all of the supply. So when you go into a shop, a fashion store or luxury goods store, don't be surprised if the attendant does not run to you first, because chances are that you'll only buy a T-shirt after 15 minutes, and the rich Chinese buyer from mainland will buy a dozen. Also, if you stay for the weekend, you see a lot of protests and demonstrations in Hong Kong. This has become a way of life in this city. People will protest and demonstrate against anything or nothing. I saw on a television program that an old lady was interviewed. What was she protesting about? And she didn't know what she was protesting about. She just thinks that getting out to walk in the streets is a better way to spend Sunday than staying in the old folks' home. When you read the newspapers, again, you'll be surprised that the main emphasis there is what our chief executive, C.Y. Leung, is doing inside his house. I think people are more interested in what he's doing inside his house than what he does in his office. So this is some strange phenomena in Hong Kong. But having said all that, the city is still thriving, doing very well, although there are some dark clouds on the horizon. I think you can ask questions later on of me or of the Chief Secretary. What are the chances? What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? And TDC continues to do well. In the past few years, we basically concentrate on 3 areas. The first focus is to take especially small and medium enterprises into the China market, the China retail market. To do this, we organize all kinds of trade exhibitions in different cities in China. We also have a website for people to do business matching. And we have a joint venture with Alibaba to promote Hong Kong brands. And we have also established different design gallery stores in different cities in China to showcase Hong Kong products. So we start from the standpoint of a small enterprise. How can he get first exposure in the China market? And this, I think, is also interesting to many of you who wants to establish your foothold in China for the first time. The second focus that we have been trying to do in the past few years is in the reverse direction, bringing Chinese enterprises through Hong Kong to the outside world. Not only to export, but to invest. You got to remember that China, after the financial crisis, has changed its character from just a place of manufacturing and a place to receive investments to a retail market of very sizable proportion and also a donor of investments in different parts of the world. So Hong Kong is serving as a support service to Chinese investors, to North America, to Europe, to Japan, and elsewhere. The TDC has been organizing these outward investment missions with different provinces, and I think we will continue to do this in the coming years. The third area is in promoting services. As you know, TDC started as an export promotion agency, but as Hong Kong transformed itself again and again, and now is really a service-dominated economy. The service sector accounts for more than 95% of the economy. So TDC naturally has expanded its scope to cover all kinds of services. That includes financial service, logistics, creative industry, films, and design, etc. So TDC has been making a lot of effort in promoting these services, not only to local users, but more importantly, to users outside of Hong Kong, to China, elsewhere in the world. So these are the emphases that we have been focusing on in the past few years. What about the future? Three different directions emerge as our main directions for the future. The first one is that we must maintain Hong Kong as the business center in Asia. In TDC, we like to call this the central business district of Asia. All kinds of business should be transacted, should get the most easy and user-friendly way of transacting in Hong Kong. And that is because our rule of law, because of the different professional services that Hong Kong possesses, and because of the experience that Hong Kong has in international trade as well as in doing business with China and the rest of Asia. The second area is really how do we assist SMEs, small and medium enterprises, to reassess their position in the constantly changing world. We all know about the problems in the US. Recovery is still very slow. We all know about the problems in Europe, the financial crisis. The debt crisis in Europe is still taking time to get resolved. And in the meantime, there are economies that are emerging as important markets for Hong Kong to do business. After the bloc countries, which is Brazil, the BRIC countries, Brazil, India, China, and Russia, now comes the MIS countries. That's, let me see if I can remember it. Malaysia, Indonesia, South Korea, and Turkey. So we are constantly discovering new frontiers to take Hong Kong manufacturers and exporters to do business. The third area that we will be making a lot of efforts to promote is to encourage a new wave of entrepreneurship, to encourage a new wave of establishing small and medium enterprises. Again, emphasizing that the TDC is always serving the one target audience, that's the SMEs. When they become big and become strong enterprises, they are no longer our customers. They'll come back and become our directors. And to do this, we have, again, various methods of assisting them. We have Entrepreneurial Day. We have the SME Center. I hope you have a chance to visit our SME Center, which is open 24/7 to assist people who want to establish business or want to expand business in Hong Kong and outside of Hong Kong. And I think during this forum, you also hear the various methods on the internet that we hope to disseminate market information to SMEs more effectively and more efficiently. So I just like to make these remarks to give you a sense of what we've been doing and what would be the future directions for this council. So to conclude my brief remarks, and before I answer questions, again, a warm welcome to all of you to Hong Kong, and I'm very glad that you're making a short trip to Cheung I hope you're taking the high-speed train. That's a great experience from Guangzhou to Cheung at 300 kilometers an hour. So that's really something to experience. And while you're in Hong Kong, please enjoy yourselves, and if there's anything we can do for you, let us know. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. So. It was very interesting to hear what is happening in the TDC and the new policies and how the TDC is adjusting its policies to the ever-changing world. I'm supposed to ask you questions from the, but I'm afraid I don't have any questions here. So. Where are the questions? No, in the meantime, there are so many, you mentioned those new economies, or not only the BRICS, but these MIST or whatever. There are areas, I think, where the TDC, well, certainly the Federation doesn't seem to be involved at all, for example, in Latin America. Is Latin America a growing market for you?
Well, Brazil, certainly Brazil, Argentina, Peru, these are new markets for us, yeah.
Well, I have a political question here. I don't know whether you're interested. Well, it's about what you mentioned and the inside of the CE's house. The question here is that so-called new democratic parties have been creating, well, I read here, you know, the pointless moves against the new leadership. How should the Hong Kong government strike a balance?
Well, really, this is a question you should reserve for lunchtime to ask Mrs. Carrie Lam. Well, I think all I can say is that Hong Kong is entering into a period of what I call a very active political debate, where people, particularly politicians, have an eye on the ballot box. And they are making all kinds of efforts and all kinds of doing all kinds of activities to attract public attention and to get public support. So really, we don't have a party system, but it's even more active than a multi-party system. But I think this question, probably Ms. Carrie Lam would be in a better position to answer.
Yeah, I think let's try to concentrate our questions to the business
economy and trade, yeah.
Economy and trade. I think this is what we all gathered here to discuss. I have two questions from our Japanese friends. One is mentioning that the biggest car manufacturer, Nissan, moved a global operation of its top brand, Infinity, to Hong Kong. In fact, the head of Infinity will be talking to us tomorrow, or maybe even today. So I'm sure he will answer the question. But I suppose you are quite pleased about that. And why do you think they decided to do that rather than stay in Beijing and Shanghai? And do you have any suggestion for Toyota? That's the question.
Well, Toyota should move to Hong Kong as well.
Of course.
Actually, the move of Infinity, this is the top-notch brand of Nissan to Hong Kong, is a direct result of a TDC promotion. We organize different promotions entitled Think Asia, Think Hong Kong over the past 2 years, one in London, one in Tokyo, simply to emphasize the theme I just talked about, that Hong Kong is the best place to do business with Asia. And there are many people who attended these conferences who are convinced by the TDC message. And certainly Nissan is one of the companies that is convinced that Hong Kong is a more effective, more cost-effective place to locate its headquarters for business, not only with mainland China, but Southeast Asia in Hong Kong. So the chief executive moved to Hong Kong. And I know that many other companies are already doing it or in the process of preparing to do it. So this is a very interesting question that you should probably ask this gentleman when he comes to speak to you.
I have a question from Edmonton, Canada. Your remark about powder milk shows that mainland Chinese do not trust the food made in China. I read again, it's not necessarily my opinion.
We don't hold you responsible.
But is there any plan to promote food being processed in Hong Kong for sale in China?
Well, I know for a fact that the central government is already very focused on the issue of food safety after so many incidents of milk powder, of poison canned foods, etc. I don't think Hong Kong is really in a position to process all of the foodstuffs in China. But one area that the government has in the past tried to promote, and the TDC is also doing a lot of work there, is in the area of standardization, is in the area of licensing, safety control. That is one area that Hong Kong can perhaps help in raising the standards of laboratory testing, of laboratory standardization. That's one area that we are promoting in Food Expo and other exhibitions to make sure that the food safety awareness is well promoted amongst the business community.
Well, I have some general questions here. Maybe it's from delegates who are here for the first time. Somebody notes that the TDC supports investments from China to Europe, for example. And the question is, how do European or international SMEs go to China for either for investment or for sales? I think the answer is so obvious. Who to contact is the TDC. So maybe you expand a little bit.
Well, that's what we're here for. This is what we do for a living. Just contact us either directly to our different offices in your cities, or email us, or get to know us through our website, or get to know our suppliers and our buyers through the tdc.com. If you don't know how to operate these different devices, I'm sure our staff will be able to assist you and get you familiarized with the different devices that we have installed to help international SMEs. And actually tomorrow is another good occasion for you to get to know how the TDC works in terms of business matching and in terms of bringing buyers and sellers together through the Hong Kong platform.
So I have a very general question here. How can we use Hong Kong as a base to expand into the Asian markets?
Well, I think it's more or less the same.
More or less the same answer.
More or less the same question. Well, but I think there's a good point here. I've been emphasizing too much on mainland China. By the same token, I would say Southeast Asia is a very, very interesting place to look into, particularly countries like Indonesia, where we just established an office. So for all of you, you should get to know where we have an office. I mean, you should use as your own office. We just established an office in Indonesia. We have an office in Singapore covering Thailand. We have another one in Bangkok. We have an office in Singapore covering Singapore and Malaysia. And we just have made exploratory visits into Myanmar, a market that's opening up. So before you go, the TDC is already there, and we have contacts there. We have networking there. So you only have to tap into our network. And we are a non-profit making, semi-government organization. So you can trust us as completely neutral and completely performing the work of assisting your business.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. So. I think we've reached the time. So thank you so much for your presentation and for answering the questions. So clearly, if you have any questions, you want any help, you want to do anything, be it investment or development, sales, whatever, not only for China, but for the whole of Asia, the key word is TDC. Thank you very much.
Thank you.